Dear Alex, thank you for accepting my invitation to talk about something which I believe is very important. And I'm sorry we couldn't be together in the same room, but now with technology is allowing us to be in a different part of the world. We're doing a series of interviews with people who know each other. We've been successful in our careers in different parts of the world. But at the same time, we all stay Armenian. And one of the key challenges which I think we're all facing today is what is the future of Armenia? What is the future of Armenian world? How, with the current environment, which is becoming more and more turbulent and more, I think people feel danger and uncertainty about what's happening in a different part of the world. How we Armenians can not only keep our identity, but really go ahead and build a good future. And if I may start with one of my first question to you, you've been born in Argentina, you moved to LA, and you've been studying Armenian in school. Like your parents tried to keep your Armenian identity. What is for you being Armenian? How you feel? What is the Armenian being person who's never been living in Armenia? You've been born in Argentina. You grew up in your all careers. Your success was happening in the United States. At the same time, you kept your identity and it was important for you. Why, if I may ask this question?
I think it starts from home. I think that when we were growing up in Argentina, um, we were not allowed to speak one word of Spanish at home. I think my sister and I went to school when we were 5 or 6 years old, and the teacher called my mother and said, your kids are very nice, but I don't understand the word they're saying, and they don't understand the word I'm saying. So the Armenian culture was very embedded in us from a very, very young age, and I think that's very important that future generations continue to do that. And it's in our DNA. I've only been to Armenia once, but it was the most emotional trip I've ever had in my life. It was just wonderful because everything mattered. If I visit a third world country as a tourist, when I leave, everything is left behind. But when I go to Armenia, everything is important to me. If there's a pothole in the street, or if I don't like what's going on in the villages, everything is very heartfelt. I think we have to continue that kind of Armenian feeling with our children and our grandchildren. My grandchildren understand both dialects, Eastern and Western.
Wow.
So my kids were not allowed to speak English at home when they grew up. So I think it comes from home, and I hope that we don't lose it. I hope that from generation to generation, we're able to continue to pass on to the next generation what it feels like to be Armenian. Because being Armenian is a feeling.
It's true, but Alex, it's you and me, we have a lot of friends of different nationalities. It's quite unusual, if you be honest. We have friends from many other nationalities, and they've all been asking why Armenians have a strong connectivity. Because at least I was born in Armenia. I left Armenia when I was 17 years old. You've been only once in Armenia, and you speak Western Armenian. In the home, I'm sure your Eastern Armenian was additional for your challenge, but you kept this identity despite it was not any benefit for it, right? It was nothing. It was not like you say, oh, if you're Armenian, you can benefit from it. It was more your own choice to stay Armenian by choice, like Nubar described. We always have a chance to say, okay, I have Armenian parents, but I am American or I am Russian or whatever. But we stay, no, Armenian by choice. It's something which is very unique. We all been surprised to find how many our friends say, I'm Armenian by choice, not because I feel obligation to my parents or because of some other reasons. And it's an amazing element which many of my friends from other nationalities never understood very well, why this happened. From your point, what does make us so different? Why for you was important being American successful entrepreneur, one of the most successful Armenians in America, continues to keep your identity Armenian?
I've been in the United States for 52 years, and I still consider myself a guest in this country. My culture is very different. What I believe in is very different. My definition of friendship is very different. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but I am a guest in this country in the sense that I have not changed any of my values by being here. I have not changed any of my customs by being here, and I have retained inside, as you say, being Armenian by choice, and I am very proud to be that way, and I'm very proud that I have been able to keep the culture after being in this country, in this melting pot for over 52 years. And I think the more important thing is that I see that now in my children, and in my grandchildren. That is a bigger accomplishment.
It's an unbelievable accomplishment. By the way, congratulations. I know your family and your son was in Armenia, and you made an investment donation to the TUMO, which is one of the unique projects which we are very proud. Armenians, being small country, exporting education to France, to Japan, to Russia, to Beirut. It's amazing, right? The country would basically have only $13 billion GDP and 3 million people living in the country. And it's an emerging market, but at the same time, we are exporting the education, and you are supporting this project. And I would say it's very critical for all of us, I think, because many of my Russian friends that we're jealous is Armenian TUMO in Moscow, and kids from other nationality coming to the center to see what Armenians exporting education, not the oil, not the other assets, but more knowledge, which has become very important for the 21st century, especially. And I say thank you.
And I don't know if you're aware, but TUMO is now doing a major expansion throughout Armenia.
Right.
We're building hubs in major cities and building a TUMO box in each one of the 114 villages. So basically, TUMO is going to be educating an entire generation of Armenians on how to be computer literate. And I think that's critical because I think our true hope for the future is our next generation, not my generation. My generation in Armenia is not it's different than what I hope the future generation will be.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. And what Sam Simonyan and his family did is unbelievable. And one of the things which I want to talk with you openly and frankly, Sam Simonyan, Kafesjan, Kirkaryan, many other people from Russia, from Europe, did a lot of contribution to Armenia when we got independence. At the same time, we see the big gap between diaspora and people who live in Armenia, not from point of doing charity project, but engaging and using his knowledge and experience, which we all got in different countries. Why it's, in one hand, we can be very proud about Kafesjan project in Armenia, or Sam Simonyan, or what you're doing, or we are doing with Nubar and many other friends and partners the last 20 years. And at the same time, we see this isolation or sometimes separation between the people who live in Armenia saying thank you, but don't bother, don't teach us, don't become part of our system. Today, diaspora, Armenian diaspora who hold Armenian passport don't have a right to vote, don't have a right to become running any position in a country. And we see very strange situation when on one hand we are very welcomed, we can do, and we're doing amazing project. At the same time, it's unification that don't happen. What's the reason? Why I think it's happened? We cannot get better use this assets.
I think that unfortunately, my generation in Armenia, or the Armenian government, which is basically my baby boomer generation, is emotionally and intellectually detached from the diaspora. As you said, they don't want any input from us. I think they just want our money, and I think they've made that very clear, at least in my dealings with them. Yet, if you really think about it, the diaspora is responsible for most of the progress that has been made in Armenia in the last 30 years. You look at the people you mentioned, the Krikorians, the Simonians, yourself, all of the things that have come from the diaspora to Armenia, mostly from individuals. The diaspora organizations don't have money. So most of the help to Armenia has come from individuals, and it's not a collective effort by the individuals. There have been individual efforts, which have all been very, very good. But there hasn't been, it doesn't carry the power and the weight of a collective effort from the individuals. And we still have done a lot. You mentioned TUMO. Look at Armenian Educational Foundation, AEF. They're converting all of these old dilapidated schools into environments that are conducive for the kids to learn. That they've converted over 250 schools already and modernized them. They're giving over, several hundred scholarships a year to Armenian students in Armenia, are really the things that the Armenian government should have been doing. And that instead the Armenian diaspora is actually filling in all those blanks.
But do you think maybe we're doing something wrong? Because I asked this question, and be honest, we met with Nubar during the last 20 years, with all the prime minister, and we've been very different prime minister in the time we've been doing our project. And I said, what are we doing wrong if the person like Lord Aradarzi himself coming to Armenia and offering the help and support, but we cannot get this connections to really contribute to our own state, and maybe we're doing something wrong. Maybe we are putting so much from our side demand, or maybe we've been not offering the right way to get this engagement and acceptance from the local. Because I look myself say, what else we can do? We are here, we're doing the project, like you said, individuals ready to support, and at the same time it does work, and it's done. And one of the points why I was asking is, we're doing this interview, we're trying to find where the mechanism which we need to fix or change to really make this work for both sides, and both sides will feel it is benefiting and it's win-win. Because let's also touch the other point. We see the diaspora is also under crisis. We see diaspora organization under crisis. We see diaspora is also, we get people emigrating from diaspora, from Armenian world. We unfortunately see not only problem with Armenians left Armenia, but Armenians from diaspora also not staying in Armenian diaspora. And where is anything from your side what we can do differently, but can help this build a new type of relationship? Will be both sides will feel this is the benefit from both sides, and diaspora need also a lot of help from Armenian, by the way, state. We can see a lot of challenges with diaspora facing in a different part of the world where we're living, and it's also a big challenge, right? And do you see anything we can do from our side differently which will help? Because you've been successful crisis manager. You've been managing one of the most difficult industry. You've been managing MGM and other big, and it may be also not easy to manage very egocentric people with a lot of ambitions, a lot of strong belief. But we're doing everything how to do the right way, and you've been managing this in a very difficult time. I know the story is amazing. Maybe your experience can help to find the answer of what we need to do differently to change the situation.
Well, first of all, Ruben, you guys, your organization has already been doing a lot in this area. And I'm a very big fan of the Future Armenian Initiative, which, by the way, I think, you haven't asked me for my opinion, but I'll tell you, I think it should be a required course in every Armenian university, and maybe even for seniors in high school in Armenia. The new Armenian initiative should be a required course, so that we make sure that we take this thinking that we have and make sure that we pass it on to the next generation before it's too late. But back to your original question, unfortunately, I think that the first and fundamental problem is the mentality of my generation in Armenia, the baby boomer generation. And I think that because of that mentality, we're not able to solve our own problems. Unfortunately, for example, what's unique about the Armenian mentality is that we are jealous of each other. My generation of Armenians are not happy for each other. And by the way, this applies to both individuals and organizations. And I think central to the Armenian mentality is this obsession with who gets the credit. And this is very unfortunate because it is amazing what you can accomplish. What you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. I think another feature of our mentality, which is unfortunate, is we're very emotional instead of being rational. We're not practical. We are not realistic. And that I think forces us to be embedded more in the past than always being thinking about the future. And, I have to tell you, finally, another feature of the Armenian mentality, and I think this is a very sad commentary, is that I really think that there's a lack of patriotism in my generation in Armenia. In many cases, Armenian individuals, Armenian organizations, and particularly Armenian political parties put themselves first and country second. And I don't think patriotism should be just with words. I don't think patriotism should begin and end when we finish singing the national anthem. And I also don't think that patriotism should be rooted just in the Armenian genocide. I think it might have been the Future Armenian Initiative, I'm not sure, that talked about what the new patriotism should look like, which is creating a strong economy, creating opportunities for young people in Armenia so they don't leave the country, accepting opposing political parties, eliminating bureaucracy and corruption, especially what you brought up, which is having a better relationship with the diaspora. This is what new patriotism should look like, in my opinion. And so, to be honest with you, Ruben, I don't think our biggest enemy today is Turkey or Azerbaijan. I think our biggest enemy today is the mentality of my generation in Armenia.
I agree, but maybe it's not only generation, Alex. I will say I speak a lot with people who is younger than me, and they are entering the world just with the new technology opportunity. They're becoming very successful in a younger age. I can see as isolation and in some way not having state mentality. One thing I found myself interesting with the Armenians, very strong individuals, very strong entrepreneurs or scientists or doctors. They quite well accepting by all other states and nationalities and doing very well in other countries. But building our own state and having state mentality, like you said, being patriot is who putting the state or own country number first before yourself is not obvious for all of us, not only people who live in Armenia. And the state mentality is creating one of the challenges because there is respect to state, respect to the law, respect to the system, and at the same time demand from the system to be servicing to the people, not just putting bureaucracy and pressure is one of the challenges. But one thing that I found also interesting in Armenia, one of the reasons why I want to talk with you about these all issues, it's I can see the big absence of the leaders, not the people who are running the country, not people who are running the official position, but people who become role model, people who've been respected, not because they are having some position or because they've been appointed or by some organization, but people who've been just respected because of who they are, how they live, what they achieved in their life. And one of it's in Armenia is Arachnort, whereas you are your leader, you're not the Hekavar, you're not the running, you're just respected because who you are. And one of the things we're trying to find how we can build in our country, in our nation level also, this type of the leadership, acceptance of the other people who really can bring some knowledge, wisdom, and experience. Like again, your experience, unbelievable. And we Armenians dreaming to have a movie. Maybe Armenians wants to make some companies. They want to do some build some big institution, but they never came to you say, Alex, can you do a mentor class or master class to talk about how you not while you being Armenian and doing donation, but how you manage the company, how you make the company transforming from one state to other. It was interesting for me, which we just started now with my local partner, whose name is also Ruben, this leadership school. My name is Matena, but we try to engage sharing leadership knowledge to the Armenians, saying, guys, it's very important to use this opportunity which we got, what nobody else said. having Serge Chourouk from France, or having not only Armenian, but Carlos Ghosn, who was running Renault and who is willing to, now he's teaching in our class sharing his experience. A unique opportunity which we need to use, but unfortunately, with leadership excellence to leaders who people trust, who leaders respect, and we are unfortunately usually love people who pass away. After they pass away, we always proudly talking, oh, by the way, Shahraz Aznaavour is our hero. But how well we engage them to be really leaders who can be role model is one of the challenges that I found.
I think that part of the problem that you are describing comes from the Armenian government's ignorance of development economics. In other words, how a third world country can transform itself into an advanced society. And we have some great examples of that today. Look at Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan. All of these countries were third world countries not long ago. And look at them today. And I think that part of the fundamental problem is that I'm concerned that the Armenian government doesn't grasp the fact that economics is a technical field. It's not an ideological battleground, And for Armenians, everything becomes an ideological battleground. So I think that's part of the problem, because they don't want advice from anybody outside that inner circle. So I think the best solution is not to deal with the current government and the current mentality of my generation in Armenia. I think it's the new generation. I think our hope is totally in the new generation. I think people like you and Nubar and Sam Simonian and we have a lot of people in the diaspora that are very, very impressive people in terms of whether in business or politics or what have you, that should be guest lecturers at either AUA or Yerevan University. And I think the university should embrace this. Even American universities don't do that enough. If you're a business student and Warren Buffett comes to give a lecture, you just died and went to heaven. That's what we should be doing in Armenia. We should be having very accomplished Armenians from around the world, and we have many of them, be regular guest lecturers on their specific fields of expertise in the Armenian universities, and again, maybe even as to seniors in high school, so they can start early, understanding that there's a very different world out there than the world created by the governments that we've had for the last 30 years.
No, yeah, I totally agree with why like I said, we started this project, Future Armenia. We got 110,000 people from 108 countries. And when I told these numbers to the people, they said, in other nationalities, they said, it's amazing to have somebody who living in Burkina Faso and he cares about Armenia and wants to be part of Future Armenian. It's amazing. One thing I want to touch is about the diaspora. Look, one of what makes me nervous about the future of Armenian, this is why we named not the future of Armenia, but future of Armenian, it's what's happening in diaspora also, because I can see in many places, like in old Armenian places in the world, like Singapore, which we don't have anymore, Armenian strong community, or in Jerusalem, or in Venice, we have this challenge of keeping our heritage, which is unique. Like how many other nationalities can be proud to have in Jerusalem? 1/4 is Armenian, and the question: who is responsible? The state can say it's not our territory. We cannot manage with the problems. It's not under our supervision. On the other hand, is Armenian heritage, which was important, at least for me, to feel when going in Jerusalem, I can see Armenian culture. It's a part of making me proud. Well, going to Singapore, and everybody knows the Raffles Hotel was Armenian hotel, and it was many other things was Armenians left to Singaporeans. It was Lee Kuan Yew. I remember Lee Kuan Yew told me, the minister mentor of Singapore, he told me, Ruben, for us Armenians, in a time was like representing the best educated people, most professional, and people who've been benchmark for us to follow. And I said, wow, this is big advantage which we are losing now. And diaspora also facing some serious crisis. We have a crisis of old institutions. where we crisis of the no dreams anymore, right? Before, I remember, I'm sure, before 1991, when Armenia got independence, at least was dream to have an independent Armenia. The state will be. But now, what is a dream? How to keep diaspora engaged, and how to keep diaspora not only to help Armenia or to work with Armenia, but also stay strong in themselves.
Ruben, I really believe that our only hope for the future is to educate our new generation and to create in them and through them a new Armenian mentality. That's why I'm very excited about what these organizations are doing to educate the next generation. I'm very excited about what these young Armenians are doing. Like you said, unicorns. We have so many very young, intelligent Armenian entrepreneurs that are going to be very successful. And my observation is that unlike my generation in Armenia, they like each other, they help each other, they are happy for each other. And immediately when they become successful, the first thing they think about is helping Armenia. Exact opposite of my generation of baby boomers. But I think the problem that you're bringing up goes right back to the problem of the Armenian mentality. And I mentioned individuals and organizations and political parties. I forgot to mention the church. You talk about Jerusalem. All of these, you want an example of division, look at the Armenian church. They can't even agree on anything themselves. And the Jerusalem division, that wants nothing to do with Yemenidjian they're totally separate fiefdoms, kingdoms, which is very typical of the Armenian mentality, this Haigagan Hivantutun, that we don't want to work together. We're not happy for each other. We want to be individuals. There's no collective effort. And I am not optimistic about my generation being able to accomplish that. I think if we are smart, we will all look at every possible angle to immediately train and educate the next generation to understand the power of working together, to understand how much you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit, to understand what the future Armenian should be, exactly what you guys are doing, to understand how valuable the diaspora can be to a country. Look at Israel. If you want to see what a diaspora can do to a country, you don't need to go that far. But, we've been a free country for about 30 years now. And to my knowledge, we still don't have a proper Council of Economic Advisors. So we've wasted 30 very important years. If you go to Israel today and you look at what they've built since 1948, it's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable, everything that they've built since 1948. And we've just pretty much wasted 30 years worth of time because of the mentality of my generation in Armenia, particularly in the government.
You're right, but I don't think only this generation, Alex. One thing that I found, I found very interesting about what's happening in Armenian mentality. We started Aurora project 8 years ago when we said, let's go out of this victimization mood where we are victims and everybody needs to help us. Let's try to show we can be winner. We can not only lose and cry and demand, but also give to the world and to feel proud to be Armenian, proud to be winner. And unfortunately, what happened in 2020 took us back to again the situation where we feel we are victims. We are some countries like Russia, US, France must help us, must defend us, must do something for us. I think it's a model which for most of Armenians is very easy to accept, but we're not, we cannot do anything ourselves. Somebody needs to help us, somebody obliged to help us. And this type of the mentality, not only in your generation, my generation, but overall to people saying, oh, $2 billion coming every year to Armenia, Alex. $2 billion welfare or assistance or whatever, charity, donations we all sending to our relatives, to our friends, and it's creating some type of the behavior of the getting free money without understanding of the value of doing something yourself. And this is one of the things when you are giving fish and not giving the way how to catch the fish. And this is one of the things which I feel guilty also in my side, saying, somehow we need to help Armenians to get out of this victimization mode. And Aurora was one of the reasons why I said Aurora said, despite we're not the richest nation, despite we didn't handle all the problems ourselves already, but let's help to others, showing we are much stronger. The Turks didn't achieve a goal. We couldn't achieve the goal of destroying Armenian nation. But it was not very well received in Armenia. Most of people saying, why are you doing this? Why are you not helping us? Why are you helping some people in Africa or in Asia? Why are you not helping Armenians? You're helping some other nationalities where we are so poor. And I think this victimization attitude victimized attitude is very dangerous element of what we are facing in any generation. I agree with you. Younger people feel absolutely differently, and I hope they will behave differently when they will be demanding without a different attitude, which we all need to change ourselves, saying we need to do everything ourselves. We need to look forward, not past. But it's a lot of things needs to be done.
I think, and I hope I'm right about this, I think that the new generation of Armenians is not going to tolerate the mediocrity and the corruption of the old generation. And I think that's another thing that we need to make sure that they understand, that they have a choice, that they don't have to be like us. They have a choice and they can be better. It's all about education. And we have to reach them early. Because the mediocrity is all around them and the corruption is all around them. And we have to reach them early and make sure they understand that they have choices, and make sure they understand that they can be very different, and they can have a collective sort of power and force. I am actually, as much as I am down on my generation of Armenians, I am very, very optimistic about the future generation. Very optimistic.
I agree. I also optimistic. But one thing I see, what we need to do for our side, helping them to become more mature and more successful, sharing our experience and teaching them. Is why you're right. Education is not only the knowledge, but also who is teaching, who is the person who provides this information. So I say one of the important elements of success, of transformation of our society will be bringing back the best people to the teaching, become the teacher, mentor, or what type of people who really will be helping them, young people, to understand what is right, what is wrong, and how they can become successful. That's why I hope what we can build the infrastructure with yourself and many other people in the world can become the mentors and teacher for this young, new generation people who can change the world for better. And I don't see any other option just without us become some way helping them to grow faster and become more successful and believe themselves. And we all know, without respect to teachers, with respect to doctors, without respect to the soldiers, you cannot build strong country, like the Golden Mayor, the president of Israel, said. If the country don't respect the teacher, doctor, and a soldier, this country have no future. And we're trying our do best to rebuild this all respect back to in our side also. And I want to say thank you for your time and thank you for this opportunity to talk. And I hope we can meet in Armenia. We can meet with the families, the generation. And again, I'm so glad to see your kids and your grandkids continue staying Armenian. And I think it's the best example showing, despite all the disappointment and negativism and sometimes criticism to ourselves, we are saying we are proud to be Armenian. We are proud to who we are and want to do our best to make Armenia a prosperous country, and also Armenian nation feel proud to be in all the different countries, being good citizens of the countries where we operate, at the same time being proud that we are Armenian. Thank you, Alex, for your time, and thank you for this opportunity to talk with you, and I hope we'll see each other soon.
Thank you very much, Ruben, and congratulations again on everything that you are doing for the country.
Thank you.